Welcome everybody to a look at a new Eureka release as part of their Eureka Classics line, and it is 1990s The Ambulance. So this is directed by Larry Cohen, who we've talked about earlier this year with the 4K release of The Stuff via Arrow Video, but he also did the It's Alive trilogy, Black Caesar, and Hell Up in Harlem. And this slots in at 97 minutes long. No, 96, sorry. And it's a mix of comedy, thriller, and action. And it stars Eric Roberts, who is also in the likes of Runaway Train, The Dark Knight, and Babylon. James Earl Jones, who was obviously the voice of Darth Vader in the Star Wars series for several films in that. But he was also in Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, Sneakers, and Matawan, which is, I think, the only other leading role film I've seen from him. And it also stars Red Buttons, who was in the one of the best of the disaster films from the 70s, The Poseidon Adventure, and in one of the worst disaster films made in that late 70s, early 80s period, When Time Ran Out, which, yeah, is definitely the film that pretty much killed that genre off. So yeah, Josh meets a young woman who shortly afterwards collapses and is rushed to a hospital in an ambulance. He follows after her only to find out that there is no record of her being admitted, and he soon learns that her roommate also vanished after being picked up by the same ambulance. Convinced of a conspiracy, Josh proceeds to investigate despite the discouragement of the police. So, though this does have a premise that sounds like a great setup for a horror film, it is tonally ultimately much more in line with the genres I mentioned earlier. That said, this does mostly work due in part to its elements not coming into conflict with one another. It's very often that when you have a film that has multiple genres, that each one feels like lesser than it could be because it's sharing the room basically with other genres. But that's not really the case here. Um, and it also manages to be entertaining throughout in the way that I've come to expect from writer director Larry Cohen. The cast is also good. The pacing is on point. The action scenes are well executed, especially when it comes to the chase scene that is in there, and then you've got Eric Roberts' character. He falls out the back of the ambulance on a stretcher, and he's rolling down the street and ends up rolling over. And then at the end, when the ambulance is going on a rampage, it's also really, really well done. It features some decent tension. The score is well done. The plot is engaging throughout. There are several laughs, and the idea of the very thing that you were meant to trust to help you being the complete opposite is done really rather effectively. Um, I also think this is probably the best produced Larry Cohen film. There's no real issues at all with the production, unlike say something like Q the Winged Serpent, which definitely looks like it's stretching its budget to the limits. Here, looks like the budget is being used to its fullest, but not in a way that is going overboard or it's looking like it's trying to do too much with a little amount of money. Here it just looks, yeah, really, really well done in a lot of ways. So yeah, if you're a fan of Cohen, I highly recommend this odd but enjoyable mix of genres. And this release from Eureka is fantastic. I really like the new artwork that we've got going on. Again, this does try and make it sound or look like a horror film with the skull in the background, but it's not. It does have that undertone of horror, like I said, the idea of something that you're supposed to trust to heal you and help you being something that is doing the complete opposite is kind of scary in that regard. Do you really trust getting into this vehicle with these strangers? You wouldn't normally, but because it is an ambulance, you do. So, yeah, that element of it could very well have been fleshed out into being a full blown horror film, but like I said, it doesn't really go in that direction. And yeah, but still, we have I believe maybe the original artwork there, and yeah, we have the disc as well. Show you. No reversible art sleeve work with this one though. Um, but I think the slipcover and then the other artwork is more than worth keeping, regardless of whether or not there's any reversible sleeve artwork. We also have a booklet, which has the kind of artwork that follows through. And inside we have your cast and your crew. And then we have Everyday Horror, The Subversive World of Larry Cohen by Liam Hathaway. And we also have shots from the film throughout as well. So there's Red Buttons. It's only 18 years between this and Poseidon Adventure, and yeah, doesn't look like he's aged drastically, I guess you could say. And yeah, we also have then viewing notes as well. So this is presented in the 185:1 aspect ratio. so adjust your screen accordingly if it doesn't look right. And yeah, we also have extras on the disc as well. So 1080p presentation from an HD restoration. Looks and sounds really rather good. No issues at all in that regard. Uncompressed LPCM audio original stereo presentation. New audio commentary by Steve Mitchell, director of the 2017 documentary King Cohen. Archival audio commentary with director Larry Cohen, moderated by Steve Mitchell himself. Catch Your Death, newly edited, previously unseen interview with director Larry Cohen and stunt coordinator Spiro Rosatos. Originally shot for King Cohen. So yeah, there are good stunts in this, like I said, with the stretcher falling out of the back of the ambulance and Eric Roberts' characters attached to it. Really good scene with the ambulance going off of I think it's into a building site because it's quite low down, but obviously there aren't any cliffs in New York or anything like that. But there's that really good stunt scene as well. So yeah, the stunts on this are pretty good, which aren't something I think I've seen much from Larry Cohen before in terms of stunts. He's usually stunt free in terms of his films. Then you got Hell on Wheels, new interview with film writer Michael Doyle, author of Larry Cohen, The Stuff of Gods and Monsters. Sickness and Health, a new video essay on the ambulance and medical horror by film scholar Murray Leader. Again, trying to make it seem like a horror film. It genuinely isn't. It really isn't. It could have easily gone in that direction, but it just doesn't. Then you got original theatrical trailer. Then the limited edition booklet featuring new cover art by John Dunn, and that's also the same person that does the artwork for this limited edition O card as well. So yeah, really nice artwork, and yeah, overall a really good film. It's probably one of my favourites from Larry Cohen, to be honest. 4 out of 5, really, and no major issues with it at all. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, I do highly recommend it. It is obviously celebrating its 35th anniversary this year. And yeah, the whole idea of an ambulance being something nefarious is still something that obviously resonates to this day. So yeah, do highly recommend it if you haven't seen it, especially if you are a fan of other Larry Cohen films. Obviously, he has done way more than I've seen or mentioned. So yeah, I'm sure other people have their favourites from him. This is probably up there with my favourites from him as well, with maybe the stuff and one of the It's Alive films somewhat managing to match it. So yeah, but if you have seen it, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Nonetheless, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.